3, 2.
We're good? Unbelievable. This is the High Button podcast. This is a company that started from nothing and has turned into something. Even though it's still in a basement, it's still turned into something. How is everyone? I guess we'll start with that. Dudes, how are you?
Good. Busy still, which seems like we just keep saying that, but that's what we want.
Take
but
a day
good,
off.
man. The sun's out today. I got the golf yesterday, so
What'd you shoot?
92, I think.
Is that the year you were born? No, you're 91.
91, but 92 is a nasty number, and everybody knows why. But no, tough to complain about that. Things are happening. Montreal's getting closer, that kind of stuff. So it's nice to be back in the podcast seat. It really is. It feels like it's been a while, which it has. But we've been busy. We weren't just sitting around doing nothing, not podcasting. We were out doing shit.
Well said. Jeff, how are you?
Good. Basically, whatever he said. Same goes for me.
How's Edmonton doing? Are they in a playoff spot?
They're in a playoff spot.
There you go.
Tonight's going to determine Kings or Vegas.
Who do you want?
Personally, I'd like the Kings. We'll see. I'm not scared of either.
Who are the Leafs looking like they're going to play?
I think Florida.
How does Leaf Nation feel about that?
Well, I think Leaf Nation, if they didn't learn their lesson on the Florida thing last year after chanting,
they should chant like, "We'll take whoever."
just be right down the middle somewhere.
Did you get that on the Switch?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
sure.
I don't know. I like to consider myself a quiet Leafs fan. I don't really say much. I don't have a whole lot of faith either, just based on what's happened over my lifetime. Yeah, I don't really care. I think if they get through the first round, they'll have a better chance than any, but it's obviously still going to be that hump. People are still going to talk about it because once just isn't enough.
Yeah. Took a layover in Toronto yesterday. I felt the pressure. I was the only in the airport. Leafs jerseys everywhere.
Really?
I'm like, I don't even play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I feel the pressure. I'm not even a fan of them, and you feel the pressure in the airport. Just Leafs. You might as well call it the Toronto Maple Leafs airport. Just like, how you go to those shops like to get a gift for your loved one. If you forget, you do it at the airport.
Yeah.
All the shops, just Tavares, Matthews, Marner, Riley, T-shirts, jerseys, cups, hats, and like you'll get like a Moose cup every night to represent Canada, but like it's Leaf City, man. So, anyways,
they're kind of similar, really, though. The Toronto airport and the Toronto Maple Leafs, they talk a big game and then don't deliver. So
yeah,
it's kind of a.
I got lucky yesterday. Everything.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I was going to say, someone asked me how I am. Thanks, Jeff.
I was focused on the switching.
How are you, Belly?
Multitask. I'm good. Thank you, dudes. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh off a bachelor trip from Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona. It was unbelievable. Weather was unbelievable. It's a dry heat.
Yeah.
I've never felt, even like California, it's a humid heat because the ocean's right there. But the desert, it's a dry heat. I was with my buddy Alex, and he's notoriously, he got kicked out of a dance once for sweating too much. And he didn't sweat at all in Arizona. And it's been some of the hottest temperatures he's ever lived in. You just don't sweat. It's weird. It's a dry heat, so it makes it enjoyable to golf. You're just not wet. It's just dry. And it was, I don't know. The people were friendly. Arizona's a lot of old people who are retired. So like they drive slow, but the highways are all like 8 lanes wide. So you're not honking like, get out of the way. You just move to the left a bit and go. The food was great. The customer service. Everyone was just happy. It's hard to be upset in that type of weather. The golf was awesome. I played awful, but the golf was awesome. The courses were awesome. There was too many to pick from. That was the only problem. It's like cereal and too many to pick from. But that's the thing. You get people's recommendations from people that live up there, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's nice, but you should have done this. And it's just like, it's really the biggest difference. Like, it's beautiful golf, Bermuda grass, fairways, the greens are really fast, but like they're well kept. Just it's hard to complain. It was a great trip, great bachelor trip, ready to get married. Boys had a great time, pool in the backyard, cigars and beers every night. We didn't even really go out and like party. It's not even like that. Like my boy, like those guys got kids. They're married already. Like they work.
Just want to get away from.
They just want to get away. That's the thing. There was nights where we're like, should we go to the club and then all 4 or 5 of us just looked at each other like, well, our Airbnb's pretty sick and there's a TV and a pool and we can play music. How about we just do that? So like we just bought cigars, had beers, watched TV, which there was great games on. And then we woke up in the morning, made breakfast, and just went to the golf and came home. Like it was exactly what I wanted. And like it turned out there were supposed to be almost 12 guys going. Not 12, there was like 9. And it ended up just being 5. And you're I'm not going to lie, I was down. I was in the dumps.
Yeah.
I was bummed out. And 5 ended up being perfect. Restaurants, you go, you don't need a huge reservation for 9 people. It's like, yeah, how many? 5 people? No problem, you're in. Golf reservations, yeah, it's an uneven number, but still, it worked out fine. Rental car was great because a big SUV, boom, easily fit 5 people in there. So it ended up working out fantastic. Saw some great baseball games, got to meet some locals, and it was also nice just to get out of it was also just nice to get out of here for a minute,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
just realize that not the whole world doesn't evolve around high button sports, because in my head it does. But it was just nice to get out and no one really know what high button sports is, not have to talk about it, not like just kind of get away from it for a minute, because every waking day, I know you two can relate as well, you wake up and all you think about is 3 letters, HBS. So to get out and only think about 2 letters, AZ, it was nice. It was really nice and refreshing, and coming back here knowing that we have the Montreal Meltdown in 2 weeks, which is going to be probably the busiest and hardest we're ever going to have to work. It's just nice to kind of get out and have that fresh breath and understand that it's all going to be okay. It's going to be fine. So feel good, feel rested, didn't get burnt, sunscreen for days.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah, no, sunscreen. They got, man, you think it's only like 2 types of sunscreen brands, like Banana Boat and whatever the other one is there. They got like 20 brands. It's just like cereal. So many options. Some of them have like tanning oil in them. And you're like,
How much money did you spend on sunscreen?
I only bought 1 bottle, because when the other guys came, they all bought their own bottles, and I kind of stole from them. So
Yeah, it's a smart play.
Yeah.
Actually, pretend like, I'm involved in this, but I'm just going to.
I just need 1 spray, and then you get the whole body.
So let me ask you this then: amongst all those things, and besides the golf, what was like, maybe not necessarily the coolest thing you did, but maybe one of the more memorable things? Like for me, sometimes when I go away, it's not necessarily the event that you go away for. It's maybe, you went on a hike, or you saw this cool place like a canyon or something.
Yeah.
What's something that you kind of didn't expect to be as cool, or maybe just like one of the cool experiences other than golf?
It was the ASU baseball game. I thought it was going to be the Diamondbacks baseball game, but the ASU baseball stadium is unbelievable. And I think I enjoy the smaller stadiums a bit more than the big stadiums. It's almost like when you go to a concert, you kind of want to be in that atmosphere that isn't a huge building. It's just like a nice intimate space. And that ASU building had that in tenfold. The grass was unbelievable. The alumni section was packed. And you could just, that's one thing that Canada doesn't really have, or at least here, maybe Dallas, you definitely don't have it. Not like there, at least. Just like the alumni and the people that come back, and the sense of school pride, and the way they treated their students that showed up. It was just really cool to see. And like the people that you get to talk to that went to the school back in the 90s, and now they're there with their kids, and they all have the same colors, the maroon and the yellow on, and now they're going to go to ASU when they grow up. That type of atmosphere, I guess, I really, really enjoyed. And that's just something you don't see in Canada. With like, if my old school asks me for money, I just don't give it, because I don't know where it's going. Like there, if you give money to ASU, it's like, you know where it's going. It's going in that baseball field. It's going in that football field. It's going in that beautiful. There's so many things around there that you would be happy to donate money to, because in 30 years down the line, you can go back and it'll be there. So it was just really cool to see that sense of pride in a sports team, rather than a professional team. Yeah, there's sense of pride, like Montreal Canadiens, Leafs, sure, but like, the alumni group's not there. Like, it was cool to see a guy sitting 2 rows in front of me that used to play on the ASU baseball team from the 70s, and he's wearing his hat, and he's there cheering on the guys now. And, it's like that kind of stuff.
It's like a family affair almost.
Yeah, and I felt like I was part of a family for 3 hours,
Yeah, I do.
And that made me want to buy a T-shirt. I did buy a hat. Even though I have no affiliation to the school, at least I can say, I was at this game. They retired Bobby Winkles. No idea who that is, but you do your research, and I got a free bobblehead. And they revealed a statue the night we were there.
It's pretty sick.
And like, we went, and there was a couple. They played Utah, and there was a couple Canadians from Ontario on Utah, and you're asking for a ball and stuff, and you're chatting the boys up. Like, we're from Canada too, and like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, sick.
So it's just, I don't know. It was just in like the stadium was just great. It was so sick. Like we smoked a little boog before we went in, and like you just like I
Chill
don't know.
out.
Well, you just kind of like see, you just like looked at the stadium. You took it in. You didn't walk in and go, where are our seats? Okay, we need a beer. Okay, we got to sit down. It's just like you walk in and you just kind of look around. The mountains in the back. You just take it all in rather than just sit there and watch the game
Or videotape on your phone.
Exactly. Take pictures. It's like, no, I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna look around, just see what's going on, and it was just really nice. It was really nice not to be rushed for a minute and watch a baseball game. The worst part about the game, both baseball games, was the clock count, the
pitch counter.
Like the Diamondbacks game was done in 2 hours.
Yeah, it used to be like 4-hour games.
And like that wasn't enjoyable. Like you're in and out. It felt like a hockey game.
That's like the turnover at a restaurant. They're just trying to get more tables served.
I really enjoyed the just not rushing it, but it did feel a little rushed, unfortunately. But it is what it is.
It's a different scenario too. Like you said, with like, the boosters or the alumni or whatever. Like in the States, you'll see like a family, like say the husband and wife meet at university. And they go to ASU. They both went there. Now their kids are going to want to go there, right? Like you see those things, and that's what kind of collegiate stuff is in the States. It's like, like they're super. Tons of pride,
just
like
proud.
Michigan Golden, like all that stuff, and it's just like it trickles down to the kids. It's like I'm not chirping NSCC, but it's not like if my dad and mom both went to NSCC, it's not going to be pumped into my brain that I need to go to NSCC. You see it more with like families that are nurses, and then their kids want to be nurses because they see that. But like in the States, man, it's a whole different world. Yeah. Like all their sports are collegiate, like SMU and baseball and Dow. Like you mentioned that, not specifically baseball, but they have sports there that aren't collegiate. So it's like club programs. It's almost like rec hockey. You know what I mean? It's not funded the same. It's not looked at the same. They don't get stadiums. Like this is bloodlines and generations of wealth and families that come through these programs.
Wealth is another thing. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like there's some wealthy people in Halifax and Nova Scotia for sure, but like down there, like it's different.
I would have stuck out like a sore thumb down there.
In all jokes, like no, you would have.
I know.
Like I stuck out. Like I had the beard. Like it was all clean shaven. They got the Abercrombie and Fitch look. Like it's like you do stand out a bit for sure. Not that. Anyway, you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
it's elitism at its like finest. It's just wealth.
People are looking at you at the restaurant without a collared shirt on, collared jacket.
Honestly, like it's just like it was like that when we. Maybe I was just a little high and I thought maybe everyone was looking, but like you're paranoid. But like it's just I don't know. We didn't look out of place, but you could just definitely tell we weren't from there when you look around. There's just like a look to it. There's that prep college look,
tourist look.
Yeah, sure. but either way, it's so friendly. No one like judging. Just you had the hecklers there, peanuts, beer. It's a great state. Great state. Roads are great. No traffic. People.
Like you said, it's tough to be upset when the sun's like that all the time.
Every day.
You notice it here, man. It rains for a day. People are down in the dumps. And then the next day that you could go see that same person and it's sunny and they're the jolliest people on earth. It's because the sun brings, especially for us here, like we're in the darkness for 3, 4, 5 months, right?
That's
like,
what I was saying to the guys. Like when you get there, the sun is up at 6.
Yeah.
It makes you want to go eat like fruit. Like if I'm up at 6 and I'm going to Tim's.
Yeah.
I need a breakfast sandwich with egg and cheese and a biscuit.
Comfort food.
I'm up. The pool's right there. It's already hot at 6 a.m. What do I want to eat? I want my shirt to be off. I want to look good. I'm going to get some fruit, drink some water, nice espresso. It does something to your mind. And when you land here, it's a great whatever. I love my home. But like you just have that. It was almost like a flip kind of switch. Just like and I'm trying not to fall into that.
It's a little too early to get that going.
But that's one thing I noticed up there. It makes you want to be outside. It was a lot of like thin people too, like not a lot of like overweight people. Because you're out. There's so many things to do. So many people hiking those mountains. Like
nature's big now too, right?
Yeah,
it's bigger than it's ever been.
Nature's in right now.
Nature's hot.
It's like Florida though, man. Like same idea. Everyone's just hot and happy.
Yeah,
guzzling beers, nachos. Was there a lot of drinking and like that sort of stuff there?
Honestly, no. So here's what happened. Like the first night I drank and I woke up and you just hated it. So I didn't drink a lot. We bought the 40-pack of water from Costco. We bought 3 of them, just downed them. We didn't even really drink a lot. Like, and if we did, it was just like back at the house, some beers and some whiskey and some cigars. Like we didn't really drink that much because waking up the morning hungover in that heat, it just kills you. And you got a tea time at 9.
You're miserable.
You're miserable. So we honestly we were off the beers we weren't on the beers that hard. which I think made it good with the 5 guys. Like we were all in agreement. And like I said, the guys that I went with, they got kids, they have big time jobs.
Yeah.
And so they're more just wanting to get away and chill out too. Like,
Yeah,
I know it might sound weird. It's like, what are you talking about? Bachelor party? You guys didn't drink. It is like,
we did, just not like
did.
idiots.
We just didn't. Yeah, we would rather enjoy our time and wake up at 6 a.m. and just get after it, hit the day fresh, rather than wake up around 9, hit the day around 10, 11. That's like half the day gone. When the sun's up at 5:36, you want to, let's go. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? So not really drinking. It was more just like, yeah, like cigars, and we had some weed and just did our thing. We just enjoyed the city. It's pretty much it.
The other thing to consider in that scenario for you specifically is these guys you don't see all the time, right? So you get together with these guys and you're trying to cherish.
It's the best.
Sounds cliche, but you're trying to, like, you don't see your buddies as much as you normally do. You're scattered all over the world. Like, you get together and you're like, okay, let's make the most of this. And it's nice when, like, organically, like, you're sitting there, you're watching TV, and all of a sudden all the boys got a buzz on, and you're kind of like, whoa, this is hilarious. The day kind of got away from us, but like, I find there's like a pressure of like, are we drinking now? Because you think about the next day now. When you're 19, you don't give a shit about tomorrow. Like, now you're like, man, well, we have a tea time, and it's just like that's what pushes me to not drink specifically. But when you see your buddies not very often, man, you're trying to get the most out of the experience. And the second point of that is you guys had a smaller, more intimate group. With 12 people, it's more prone for like 4 or 5 guys, half the guys, to just like want to booze the whole time, and the other guys don't, and then you kind of just get mixed in because you're there. But with a smaller group, it's easier to come to like an agreement on things, or just like come to a decision and just like kind of enjoy your guys' presence with each other. You know, like, it sounds kind of cheesy, but that's just the nature of how things go when you get older.
I'll say one more thing before we move on to something else. We went to a gun range. It was terrifying. Like, gun culture is big up there. We went to a gun range, and there's people just in there, like, bringing their own guns to shoot. And, like, we're not good with it. Tommy was cool with it. Tommy didn't care.
Yeah, Fairview
in the building for sure. But, like, I'll show you some videos after this. Like, all of us city boys, we were shaking. Like, they gave us an AR-15 and just said, here you go, here's the safety, shoot away.
The power in those things, man.
Oh, my God. I shot a handgun, like a Glock.
Really?
Oh, man, it was crazy. And the thing that was scary was how comfortable everyone else was.
Yeah.
Like, there's people in there open, like, carrying, just like, like the guy, our instructor was like, yeah, this is my everyday gun. My weekend gun's at the house. Like,
that's my Sunday
Did you
gun.
feel like at risk, like,
yes,
weirdly?
Yes,
yeah.
man. There's people. There's a guy right next to you, a stranger, shooting an AR-15, and you're one section away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a piece of wood away.
It did make me feel safe knowing that the guy was there. We had our own, like, guy with us, because we were all none of our friends have ever shot a gun. I shot clay a couple times, like with the shotgun, but that's about it. But it was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I'm happy I did it, because I don't know if I'll ever do it again. At least now I can say I went to a gun range, shot an AR-15, not that I didn't hit the X, but you hit the circle within the X. I was all right.
It's better than I can say.
But I didn't, you know, their shooting culture, they love it. It just,
It's a thing.
it's a thing. You can get any gun, any color, any size. It's
Walmart,
any bullet, hollow tip. Like, it's crazy the amount of options for guns.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk in there, and people are just there, like, on their day off, just pumped to shoot their gun with their kid. You're just,
It is kind of a rush.
it is, but you're just terrified.
Yeah.
Man. Like,
you do it a couple times though, right? Then you start to get the feel
Sure.
for it.
When you're shooting that AR-15, you feel more of a man for sure. You're like, oh, fucking AR-15.
That's like the shittier side of the gun thing too, is how big of a rush people get.
Well, that's
from
what
it,
Tommy
right?
said. He goes, shooting guns is such a cool thing. It just sucks the people who love to do it make it look like weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's just like some of the guys in there shooting the guns. You're just like,
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
You're just like, I don't know. It's just that. Yeah, that's what it is.
I was terrible at that. The guy told me, he was like, "Yeah, you might have scared the guy away anyway." When I first shot, because everyone wanted to see me shoot because I'm from Fairview. Didn't even come anywhere near the target. So it's just like, buddy's like, he probably wouldn't even have ran away.
Well, that's the thing. The guy put the target like from me to that pole. So it makes like, so that's what Tommy said, because all of us are like, oh man, we're pretty good, and Tommy's the only guy that notices, because guys, he's hyping us up. He put the target right in front of our face, and he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. He did make us feel good.
Yeah, he couldn't possibly miss.
Yeah, he kept looking back at us like, you guys are pretty good.
He's like, look at this.
And then we're all looking at it. Yeah, we are pretty good. Like, we play hockey, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Good wrists.
He's like, yeah, like hockey players will come in here. You guys are good at this stuff.
He's wearing
Probably
Patagonia.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And at the end, he's like, scan this QR code, leave us a review. I'm like, yeah, I'll get right on that.
Couple good shots.
Yeah, but anyway, it was a great trip. Arizona 2024. I'll leave it. That's it. I'll let it be. Let's move on to the real world.
Get a shot of that. Bachelor
go.
party, baby. Nice little addition
Belly's
to the trip.
Bachelor.
That's it, baby. Represent.
Shout
Anyways,
out to Burke getting those made up.
smart guy.
Teeth.
We move on.
Well, dude kind of ruined my day from a text this morning. It's not his fault. He didn't create the text. He just took a screenshot of it.
The messenger.
Halifax Mooseheads fired Midge.
And Helis. We,
Yeah.
we don't know him as well, but
Yeah.
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 It's like, what do you say? It's tough. You know, we like Midge a lot, but it's a
It's
business,
just-
right? It's like, what do you say? Like, what are we
No.
going to talk about?
It's just, you know, there's, you hear things that happen like outside or inside the dressing room.
You hear?
You don't, you hear it a couple times, 3-4 times, and you just think, okay, well, how's any of that's Midge's fault? How's that his?
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, we'll never know what happened in the room. We'll never know what happened, outside of the rink, whatever it may be. But, coaches are hired to get fired, unfortunately. And when a fan base is calling for your head, I guess you got to go. But I
Yeah.
tell you right now, Midge is not the reason why they got swept in the first round.
No, I don't
I'm
think
telling
so.
you that right now.
No.
I don't know for a fact, but I'm telling you right now, Midge is not the reason they got swept in the first round. You don't have to be that smart to realize that. If you look about what's going on, things that are in the news that are obvious, if your ears to the railway and you understand what's kind of happening, Midge is not the reason that the Mooseheads got swept in the first round. The thing that pisses me off the most, I love the internet, but I also hate it. You hear these people's comments that are just commenting on the sweep and why it happened. And you
They
just
probably have never skated before.
don't even know how to spell hockey. You just, that's the part that makes you the most upset. And public pressure from people on cam or whoever, the owners. I don't know who had to make the final decision. I'm sure in the write-up it said Cam, but who knows if it was actually Cam or if it was the Simons. But at the end of the day, it's just it's a tough break for Midge. But luckily enough, we know Midge. We know he's one of the toughest, nicest guys going. If you think that this is going to affect him at all, you got another thing coming, buddy.
Or end his road.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't think.
Well, that's the thing. If you're a hockey brain and you know what happened, that's the thing. I don't know what happened. I'm not sitting here claiming I know anything, but if you're a hockey brain and you're in a position to hire Midge, you're not going to go, oh, well, he got swept in the first round with Mooseheads.
Yeah.
You're like, obviously, you know he's a great coach. You know he's a great player, or excuse me, a great person. And yeah, I don't know Midge that well. I know him well enough to know that he doesn't let little things like this rub him off.
He's
So-
going to bounce back for sure.
Oh my God. I sent him a job. I asked if he wanted to work for us this morning. He didn't get back to me, but he's got a job here anytime.
Yeah,
You
he's
know what I mean? He can come to the meltdown with us.
got to get his cover letter ready.
But yeah, that's how I feel about that. It's, but that's another thing about Mitch. He's an experienced coach. He knows the position that he puts himself in every time he goes behind a bench, and that's just part of the business.
Every time there's a loss, I'm sure as a coach you can feel it a little bit. But the thing about that is, you talk about the comments and stuff like that, and the easiest scapegoat of every possible scenario for any team is the coach. They're the first. That's all the people that really don't know the inner workings of an organization. That's who they think of. Oh, they're not playing for the coach, blah blah blah. And maybe that is the case, but normally you don't have, like, for example, like, who was it? Paul Maurice that stepped down from the Winnipeg Jets. He just said that my voice is losing its power in this room. Like, it's falling on deaf ears. Like, they just need a new voice. That's what he thought they needed. And I feel like it would be really hard to lose a room in a year, because that's what all the armchair GMs are saying, right? They're, oh, well, the players didn't want to play for him. It's like, well, how do you, in 6 months, how does your entire team flip and not want to play for a coach? And at that level, it's different in the NHL. In the QMJHL, these guys are still trying to build careers.
And build character.
Tough titties if you don't like the coach. You're still representing yourself at first and foremost. It's an individual thing, right? You're trying to make your brand the best so you can move on. Mm-hmm. Your teammates help that. Mm-hmm. But, you don't just fold because you don't agree with how the coach says things or how the team's playing or the power play set up or whatever. This isn't, it's, you know what I mean? You don't just, oh, okay, well, I'm done playing then for the year. You're still not representing yourself. And so it's just like, it seems like a ridiculous thing. And like you said, we don't really know. All I know for sure is that Midge is going to bounce back, and obviously he's a great coach, and he'll get another job, man. Like, that's just the way you see it everywhere. Is they just in and out. It's a business. Everyone calls for the coach because that's the only thing they know on the outside.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right?
He's a grown man.
Yeah, you can't attack
way.
the kids. They're 16. That's
Yeah.
the thing that pisses me off the most, though. is that people just like attack these players, and it's like, dude, some of these kids they can't even drive yet,
Yeah,
and you're a full-fledged adult sitting at home on Facebook. Blah, blah, you know, it's like they're kids, man. Relax. But Midge will bounce back.
Oh my God, yes.
I love Midge. One of my favorite coaches I ever played for, man.
That's the thing. Like, some of my favorite coaches I've ever played for, hence like Troy Ryan. There were times I hated him, but respected the hell out of him. If he called me out in the middle of the team, there was a reason for it, and I knew that. And at the time, I'm like, Troy, yeah. But guess what? I came back the next period and put up 2 goals.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's a level of hateness, but then there's also a level of respect. And like I said, some of my best coaches, there was times where I absolutely hated them, and I'd let them know. What do you mean you put me on the bench? But they knew something that I didn't. Troy knew something about me that I didn't know at the time. You know, Pete knew something about me and Bantam that I didn't know at the time. You know, I didn't know how to take a hit in hockey, but he knew if I learned how to take a hit, I'd be a better player. So what did he do? Practice, put me in the gauntlet with the 2 Roskies. You know, he got it out of me. I learned how to take a hit. Boom. Now I'm a better player for it. Like,
Doesn't hurt.
The best coaches out there know something about their players that they don't already know. Because like you said, these kids are, what's junior, 16 to 20?
Yeah.
You know, they're barely their own character yet.
That's what I mean.
They're barely people. Like, they're still trying to figure themselves out.
And it's a tough job these days too. With
the toughest. How many conversations do we have with coaches that we're not allowed to share that are just terrified?
Exactly.
Terrified.
And it's also like
terrified.
The generations. I hate to like be that guy that brings that up, but when you and I were coming up playing, it was a different thing. And I'm not being the old guy in my day, blah blah blah. It's just like now you kind of have to coach individually. Like, it's a much harder job to coach a full group of teenagers now than it has ever been. It feels like when we were there, it was like, this is how we're doing it. That's that. If you don't like it, go play AA or A or whatever, right? And now it's like, you know, like each person, I find each kid is kind of more entitled each year. It seems like, oh, I want it my way or blah blah blah, or I'm going to complain about it. But before it was just like you were terrified, and maybe just Midge was like a little hard nosed, and maybe they just weren't able to receive that as well. Like, we don't know.
Yeah, he never coached me. I don't think he ever. No,
it was just the high performance stuff.
Oh, you think you're better than me because you're in high performance?
I had to throw that in there. That's just going to be
the high performance stuff.
There's the thing.
You still have the T-shirt.
Yeah, it just fits now.
From St. Vex.
It was an XL then, didn't fit. But yeah, it's a tough job being a coach, man. But you know, we need them, and at that point, it's a business, and that's the shitty part about all of it. Like you said, you know, going in that there's a chance that you could be heading out just as fast.
Yeah. Anyways, Midge, if you're listening, we love you, buddy. You're going to bounce back from this. You know you are. A message from me and the guys here is not going to help anything, but you know yourself better than anyone, and you're going to be all right. Love you, Midge. You're a good guy.
Coach.
Well, we'll go to Troy. Like, I know I said I hated him a second ago, but no, I don't hate him. I love Troy. He knows that. But he just recently became the most winning coach at a women's world championship, which is kind of incredible knowing that he's from right there. I see his house right now. I throw a rock from it. And he told me once he grew up playing on the pond right out front. Like, that's where he learned to skate.
Oh, yeah?
Right there. Yeah.
Really?
We had a guy on this podcast. I forget who. Yeah, actually, I do. I'm not going to say his name, but he grew up in Spryfield with Troy, and just that's where it happened. That's the community fights, like right there on the pond in the winter. Like the community, like everything would kind of just happen on your skates on that pond. Like,
where the
if you wanted to
see.
like flirt with a girl, it's like, all right, let's just meet. You know, we'll meet here, and that's where the girls would come, and this is where we'll bring our sticks and show off like our dangles and shit. Like, that's kind of where it just happened right there.
There was no dangles back then.
Yeah, sure.
Show off your dump and chase.
Slap shots. No, my shot was harder than his shot.
Edge work.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But just to know that, you know, Troy comes from here, and just being really lucky to be coached by him for 2 years and learning his ways and knowing how he gets to know his players before he shapes the team, if that makes sense. Like, before, I remember like the first couple of games in the year, there wasn't really a system. There was, but there wasn't. And he needed to learn his players and what pushed them and what motivated them and how far to push them, I guess, in terms of his coaching style, until he actually made a game plan. And I'll never forget that. It was so different.
Yeah.
Usually first game of the year, it's like, all right, we're going with this, and this is how we're playing the rest of the year. Troy wasn't like that. He talked to his players. Maybe he talked to the leadership group more than the players. He talked to the leadership group, like Verker and all those guys.
They're the guys that
like
are in there, though.
Ben Clark, like those guys. And then he got a read for the room after those like first games from the leadership group. And then after that, I remember he started to like actually coach me. Coach like Stephen Woodworth, Riggis, like those guys in the first year with the Lions. I remember that. First year junior. But yeah, he was such a great motivator, just unbelievable, and a good person too. Just an unbelievable person. So to hear what's going on here with the Women's World Championship and his role in Hockey Canada, kind of incredible.
Yeah, and 25 wins is like, maybe doesn't seem like a big number, but when you break it down to how many tournaments are like 5-6 games, you know what I mean? He's winning out for most of them. So
Yeah.
it is sick, man. And he's a big name, and he was kind of like the first, not the first, but like the first like male really to kind of make a splash in the female game. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like that's how it should be, but like he took a different route in his career that he probably had different offers everywhere, and he took a chance on this, and he's really helped grow the game. And that's a testament to his character, I think, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, I remember when he was in junior A and he went to go coach St. Thomas. And then he went there. I remember that was like a different move. I was like, oh, interesting. He's going like the AUS route. He's always been a guy that like, at least in my opinion, that like he never went with the popular opinion. He went with the opinion that was suitable for him. Like going to coach women's hockey, probably not the most popular choice. What, 12 years ago? When did he start that?
Yeah, a while ago now.
12 years ago, whatever. I don't know. But now look at him. Like he's always been the guy. Just they never went with the popular, cool position
or what people are telling him to do.
It's like he just always went with his gut, stuck with his heart, and it's been paying off for him for years now.
Absolutely.
And to hear this news, it's like, yeah, you're proud of him and all that, but like it's just kind of a known thing with Troy. Olympic coach, has a gold medal. It's just like, yeah, that makes sense. A guy that follows his heart and goes with his gut feeling for the majority of his life, every now and then that's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And when you see these little, like, he's not a big he doesn't do interviews all the time and stuff like that. He's very kept and very secure and very like, he likes to keep his thoughts with himself in order, I guess, with his plans, with his coaching style, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you hear this, you're just like, yeah, that works off. All that is hard work. That's Troy just keeping his head down, working his bag off, and things paying off for him. That's all that is. It's not secret to life. Head down, work hard, good things happen.
He was a tough player, or a tough coach to play against his teams, man. I know that for sure. Just like, how we talked about wanting to play for coaches, I never had him, but he struck me as the type of guy that, like, the players are just like, oh, yeah, you want me to go out there and block shot with my face? You got to coach. Like, that just, and that's kind of just him. It's almost expected, like seeing his success, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that, like you said, it makes sense. Like that's kind of what we expected for him to do that, right? But yeah, no, he's been a big part of the talk around here for at least a decade now. So it's nice to know, we get a lot of the limelight for the players, but it's the guys now that we know, we've been in a lot of events and stuff like that. And it's kind of like the coaches and the managers and stuff like that they don't really get the credit that they normally probably would deserve, but they know that, right?
Well, we might as well just make this a hat trick. We're going to the third coach.
The coaching episode.
We're going to McDougal.
Oh my God, you want to talk about coaches, right?
We're going to UNB now. We're in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Fredericton.
Lead Canada. I mean, it's kind of inevitable.
And that's like another guy where you talk about like, could he be in the NHL? Probably.
Yeah.
But he goes with his gut. He turned that franchise. Can you call a school a franchise? Like UNB Reds?
I think it's a program.
So you can't call it a franchise.
You probably could, but they usually just call it like the most winningest program in history or whatever, right?
But like they're probably bringing in tons of money for like the fans. It's like you could call it. Anyways, we won't for
the sake of this.
Turning that program into what it is. Like when we were kids, you always heard rumblings of it. Like when SMU played UNB.
Yeah.
Even back then, I don't know how long he's been coaching for, but just to hear some of the stories about the things that he's pulling off.
It's nuts.
Just, you talk about some of the greatest coaches of all time, not even just in hockey, but in any sport. You talk about Coach K at Duke.
Yeah.
Talk about Coach K at St. FX basketball.
Mm-hmm. Friend of the show. Yeah,
well said. You just talk about some of these legendary people who are able to accomplish legendary goals over years.
Lots of years.
That's the thing, like years.
Not just once.
Not just once.
Yeah, like multiple times.
You're just like, oh, that guy's... You almost think they're like cheating. You're like, how? You're like, what? How does that... You just...
Especially in a sport like hockey.
Where it's impossible to duplicate things.
Yeah. Especially with new players coming in all the time and shit. Like, but that's the thing about Gardner, though, is like, that's kind of why, like, it's like, if it's not broken, don't break it, or whatever the saying is. If
don't try to fix it.
Yeah, right. So like in his mind, like not only has he won a ton of games, but he's changed the face of like hockey in Fredericton as well. Because not only are these guys playing university, but they're in the community. Yep. They're running camps. They have the summer. Like for Christ's sakes, I went to a couple UNB camps. Like what am I doing in Fredericton?
Were you ever coached by him?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Man, he would run practices. It was the scariest shit of my life. Like
really, he doesn't seem like a scary.
But he's
guy.
not. He's not a scary guy. You just know. Like the aura around him, and like you walk into that rink and you see the tradition of like champions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're just like, you want to do good. You don't want to be the drill buster, the guy that's, going left in the drill and colliding with a guy instead of going right. Like he just has you so like well trained without even saying anything to you. You know what I mean? Like it's just the tradition that he brings with him. And at that point when I was doing camps, he was only like a fraction of what he's of his success now, and he was still that guy, right? So why would he switch? And then he did switch, and we went to St. John. He won a Mem Cup, and even that was still like, I'll still go back, right?
So what was the tournament we went to in Acadia? And they were out, I'm pretty sure. Or did they win it?
The U Cup
in Acadia.
Yeah,
they were out. They didn't win.
No, they weren't. I don't think they. No.
Didn't Ryerson beat them? It was their last year.
Yeah.
It was
Ryerson beat them, and then who'd they play in the finals?
I thought they played like a Quebec team,
yeah,
like the team that the old Mooseheads goalie was on. Anyways, he was out. They were out. So I remember dudes and I went to, I think it was the finals, and I saw them. So obviously the finals, right? It's packed, and it's intermission, and people are walking around getting their beer, whatever, talking. And all of a sudden you look like 4 or 5, maybe 7 people ahead of you. It's McDougal, and he's walking. No one's talking to him. And as he's walking, the people in front of him and behind him all know he's there. Everyone knows McDougal, his face, what he looks like. And I swear to God, it was like Jesus walking through his people. Like just a crowd opened for him. Everywhere he went, just people moved for him. It was one of them being, like I said, 7 paces back from him. You could see it from our angle. And just people would look, double take, boom, 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right. And he would just walk. And also they lost. So I'm pretty sure people might have assumed he was pissed off. He probably was. So no one was talking to him. You just walking, head down, and then people were just moving for him. It was one of the cooler things. I was actually going to pitch him on coming on the pod, but then I realized, wait a sec, he just lost. Maybe don't do that. And I'll never forget that moment. He was just, he just looked like a god, just moving through a crowd of people, or the people moving for him.
Incredible Jesus reference too.
Thank you.
By the way,
Appreciate
I didn't know
it.
where you were going with that.
That only happens after 16 years of hard work, though. Pure respect.
And especially like
heart like the seas.
16 years is all fine and dandy, but if you lose all 16 years, no one gives a shit. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll be asking for your head, but I have it up here now, 21 seasons with the UNB Reds. They've won 7 university cups. He was on the cusp of winning an 8th, but COVID hit. Obviously, that canceled a bunch of shit that year. It says here his teams have won 9 Atlantic University sport banners, more than 500 wins behind the bench. He also won 2 gold medals at the World University Games, once as a head coach, once as an assistant, and is the first UNB coach ever to earn the university's prestigious President's Medal. He's also a recipient of the Paul Harris. Like, there's just, like, not only in coaching, but, like, he's the all-time winningest coach. First coach in history to win 500 games. He's got 7 national championships in 10 years, and, like, it's just ridiculous. And, like, he's got such a good thing going there. Why even go anywhere else?
Yeah.
He's getting paid good. His family's looked after. He's got a good, what do they call it? Like, benefits package. Like, why he's set up
dental.
good. And he's a big wig in that community, and, like, people probably rely on him for their hockey.
Yeah.
I think when you hit that certain age, it's not about the prestige. It's just about the life.
Yes.
It's not about coaching the Leafs. It's just about winning, being in an environment that you're comfortable with, but always challenging yourself. As soon as you get comfortable, it's not fun anymore. But
that's right.
He's found a way to challenge himself each and every year, getting new recruits in from, like, a lot of his guys are from the OHL, WHL,
Yes.
Q, whatever it is. But, that takes work. That takes travel. That takes, shaking mom and dad's hand. Hey, well, we would love to have your son here with us. Like, that takes work. You can't get too comfortable in that position. So to have that fire in his belly after all those years and still win, I don't know. I'm just one of those guys that always judges, like, how do I do that? Not like in terms of, like, winning AUS championships, but in terms of, like, greatness. You're like, well, what's his recipe? How did you figure that out?
What's he doing behind the scenes?
Exactly,
Yeah.
So, like, I love that. I just, to have a local guy here recognized across Canada, pretty nasty. Do you remember? Sorry, you go.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I don't know if I ever told you this story as well. I probably did. I remember I told it to Chris Larson. was like before, it was when the pandemic hit. The AUS championship was at the Metro Center.
Yes.
Remember it got canceled?
Yep.
So I went day one to like the press conference where there was like 6 teams, coaches represented at this one press conference, and all the media got to ask the coaches questions. And before the media could ask the coaches questions, each coach made a statement. McDougal was the last person to speak. So, Steinberg's up there, all the guys representing each team is there, and 2 minutes most. Coaches, all right, Steinberg's, we're really excited to be here, great turnout, Halifax, yada yada yada. Next coach, it's great to be here from Alberta, love it, Metro Center, great crowd, yada yada. Down the line. All of a sudden, McDougal's turn. Silence. Janitor walks in, like, he shuts up, like, no one says a goddamn word when this guy speaks. Even he didn't speak for a second, took his time, made sure everyone was listening. Like, the guy just has the room.
Oh yeah,
has the room. Gets up there, coughs. Well, I look to my left. We've got 5 great coaches. Starts to list off each team's record, how they lost every game, how they won every game, what their attendance was at home and away, their stats, how many goals for, how many goals against, what either their third jersey color is, and how it matched the seats of their barn. What I'm saying is he went through all of those coaches sitting to his left and picked apart their team, telling each and every coach that he knew their team inside and out better than they did.
Without being a dick,
The tournament was won and lost in that room. Obviously, it didn't finish. I don't know if they ever finished that tournament.
No, that's
I don't
the one
think
we're
so.
talking about.
But I'll never forget that what he did. He won they would have won. Like that room for us just. That, I don't know, he might have talked for 10 minutes while every other coach was 2 minutes. He won the tournament in that room. It was unbelievable. I'll never forget it. Just picked apart every team. Alberta, you got third jerseys, but you don't really stand out in your green seats at your building. Trevor Steinberg, he's great. He's here in Halifax, loves the bars, but they're not. He wasn't rude.
No,
but he just picked apart. I shouldn't say picked apart. Like he just analyzed and let the coaches know that he knows their team.
Yeah, and all while probably praising them and stuff too.
Even though we haven't played each other this year, Alberta, you better believe I've watched every period of your season this year. Like
congratulations on all your success, but we're coming for you.
Yeah, he'd be like, let's say Ryerson was in the tournament. I don't know if they were or not. He goes, Ryerson when they played yada yada Thursday, March 7th, and that double overtime, I didn't like the way they did this, but they recovered really well. Like, and the coach is looking at McDougal like, how do you know that?
He's like, I never even got that far yet in the process.
Anyways, it was really cool to see and just legendary stuff.
He was a legend for me after he won the Mem Cup for the St. John team that was hosting but got knocked out in the first round, and then they had like this 6-week layoff, and they brought him in like, who fires their coach right before the Mem Cup? Like, what are we doing here? And then he just brings them in, and that's where Lady Momentum came from. And he just takes those guys to greatness. So you want to talk about a voice in the room that it's just going to... That's what I'm saying, man. When you were at their practices, I didn't even know who he was, but I'm like, I'm working for this guy.
That's what Cam McDonald said, because remember Cam and Welsh came on after, and I was like, so what was it like with McDougal in the room? And he's like, well, no one wanted to like let him down. Like everyone knew he was a legend already, but like everyone worked twice as hard, 3 times as hard, because it was kind of a fresh start for the guys on the 4th line that wanted to be on the 3rd line.
That's so true.
And he's just like, no one wanted to let him down because he knew us, but he didn't know us. Which obviously he knew the players, like it's McDougal. But he might have appeared like he didn't know everyone. He's like, all right, guys. He walks in the room. All right, I don't know anyone. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, show me what you got.
That could have been one of his tactics. I don't know, but I remember Cam sitting there saying like, from the moment he walked in the room, no one wanted to let him down. So that kind of just like upped everyone's game. And that's just kind of the effect the guy has. If you walked in here right now, like, how you doing?
I take my hat off, shake his hand.
How you doing? Like it's just.
And that's one of those things that he implemented at his camps too. Is like when you're in meal hall and stuff, you took your hat off, you shook people's hands. Like it was just like you almost went from like a teeny little boy to somewhat of a man in a 2-day span of the weekend.
It's like your bar mitzvah every time you meet him.
That's right. That's it. You're a man now.
Yeah.
But speaking of McDougal, his son was the guy that hooked us up with those tickets there in Vancouver for the draft. Taylor.
Yeah.
So. Good family.
He's always at the rinks. He's a scout or he's an agent?
Yeah, he's scout, agent.
Okay, yeah.
He's just a hockey guy, right? But we grew up playing against him, and in their year of Bantam, we played into that Fredericton tournament. They were the Canadians then. They had Jake Allen and stuff in their net. So that's kind of like a part of his legacy as well was like kind of having like Jake Allen come up through the system, and like he had a bunch of successful guys. Like his son was very successful. They all played AUS and like all that shit. So it's just like it's a household name in Fredericton, and then he's probably expected to stay there and continue to build roots, right? So
I hope we get up there next year for like, what's the tournament we do in Fredericton?
Buster Harvey.
I hope we get up there next year and like they play.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see a game.
Yep. Anywho,
You see the crowds up there for playoff. They're selling that place out.
yeah, it's easy to go to games when they're winning. Same with recruiting. That team recruits itself. They probably have to deny guys.
Remember we got to walk in the room and like in the hall and like there's no point painting the hallways because it's just full of plaques. Like, you don't even see the color.
There is no walls.
There's no wall. It's just plaques. Win.
They're also very like humble and private about that. Like we had to get special permission to even like use our cameras, right?
We
So
had to text like 4 people.
there's a recipe down there. It's like grandma's secret, banana chocolate chip muffins that nobody gets the recipe for, but no one can ever make them as good as that.
It's like Mavs' mom's chocolate chip cookies.
That's it. It's the exact same scenario. It's like everyone knows something's going on back there, but nobody gets to figure out what it is. So yeah, pretty good coaching episode though, so far.
Yeah, we gave him a hat trick.
That's right.
We gave him a hat trick.
It's pretty good.
Jeff, do you want to say something?
Shout out to a couple players, if we're in the hockey realm. Aiden O'Donnell, who came up through the high button ranks.
Good call.
To the Bulldogs, 14th overall, so he went to the OHL.
He was a great kid at the St. FX.
Exactly.
We got to meet him there. We sat with him in Meal Hall a couple times. Really good kid.
Yeah.
Really good kid.
So
and he went
congrats to him.
South Korea.
Yeah, exactly. So
He had a great year.
He's about to make a run there in the OHL, first round pick. So it's a big deal. My buddy's actually the host for the team he went to, like the in arena host.
Hamilton?
Yeah, well,
Nasty.
it's Brantford now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Brantford Bulldogs. So
How far
switched
is
over.
that from Toronto?
Couple.
Good question.
45 minutes.
Yeah, good question.
45 minutes?
Probably something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Max Brocklehurst, who went down last year, another guy who's been on high button streams.
Played for the Bandits.
He went a few rounds later to Windsor.
Yeah,
so
fourth
another
round, I think.
big time team there, man. So a couple high button guys in the
Spitfires.
OHL.
Hall
Yeah.
played there.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So he's a Bedford boy, but congrats to those two. If there's more we forgot, then let us know. But I think those are the two high button guys.
There's definitely some.
That's a great call, Jeff, by the way, throwing those out there. And some people may wonder, how do you get over to the OHL if you're from Nova Scotia? I've seen a bunch of people comment, how do we get a Nova Scotia guy? If your family plays in the OHL, similar to the Sims, you have that accessibility. Same with the Mansons. Paul Manson played in the OHL. I'm pretty sure he got drafted to the OHL. Back then the rules were a little bit different, but they could have gone to the OHL because of said scenario, right? So there's that, because everyone's like, what the...
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Now, Brocklehurst was a surprise for me. And obviously I say that as a good thing, but he was a little bit undersized even in his first year band, but he put up like 700 points this year in
yeah.
prep school. So nice to see those guys getting recognition, and that just goes to show these days, man. Hockey is like... When we were growing up, man, I hate to keep beating this horse, but the opportunities were there. We just didn't know about them, and they weren't really as attainable. Now everyone's through everyone, and some of that can be put on us. There's streaming companies out there, but there's a lot of players that get seen through our platforms, and that's part of what we take pride in, is being able to give you the best view so that you can see that, right? Scouts now have their jobs harder and easier. Easier in the sense of travel. They can sit in a hotel room and watch 4 players play, but so much more to look at. So many more players to see, so much more talent, so many more different variations of hockey players for so many schools,
I never
right?
thought of it like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're providing. I'm not trying to pump our tires, but it's also something that we can use to dial us in. Like when we're doing these things, remember, like, people are watching and these players are going to take the next step by some of the views that are on our streams, right? Like, but it's super cool. Aiden's a good kid. You don't get drafted in the first round if you're not a good person and with a good family. Like, you just don't anymore. There's the odd guy, but
No, he is a good kid.
Yeah. And the Q draft is June 7th and 8th, I think. So when that comes around, we'll give
Jesus.
congratulations out there.
So the OHL draft just happened, and the G
Yeah.
one's not till...
It's a priority
dude,
selection.
The OHL draft is weird. My buddy's brother is in the OHL, and like they can't trade their first round picks if they're like below a certain age. Like it's a whole different kind of ball game out there in the OHL. But a couple guys out there, so congrats to them.
Yeah, big time.
Couple
That's-
high button athletes through the grapevine.
Nasty. Shout out to you guys, fellas. Congrats. Man, I hate to keep talking about Sid. But can I say one thing about him? Just one more.
Just one?
Maybe 2.
Here comes 4. Go ahead.
Did you see his goal last night?
Man,
Dove
that's what
for
I
the
was going to
puck.
say.
Like, I'm 32. I'm 36. I don't know if I'll be able to get up as quick as he did after he dove for the puck, Bobby Orr style, batted it in, took a couple back swings, and let everyone celebrate with him. Mm-hmm. The guy's fighting for his life. Back when I played in the 90s, if you didn't play prepared to die, You weren't ready.
You weren't prepared.
Sid goes out there each and every single day. He's ready to play. 36. Already got 3 cups, gold medal.
All of it.
He's got
1,000 career points.
1,000. He's got everything. You name it, he's got it. Guy's out there acting like he's in the Telus Cup trying to win, like his
Trying to get scouted.
his first ever game, trying to still make the NHL.
Yeah.
It's just, it's inspiring. It is inspiring. That's all I'm gonna say. One thing, because it's been beat. What else can I say?
I know, but when
I
you're
can't say anything else.
when you're doing that all the time, like I walked 9 holes of golf yesterday and I'm gassed. Like that,
Yeah.
that's much harder or much less hard than what he's doing. But he's just continuing to succeed. And you talk about inspiring, Billy. You think for 2 seconds in that room, they're not looking around going, "Oh shit." It would have been easy, just as easy to go, not our year, you know.
Yeah.
But when he's out there giving that kind of effort, you're not going to sit in the room beside him and go, I'm probably not. I'm going to go through the motions tonight. You know, there's a reason why they're firing on all cylinders like they are right now.
100%. A leader can only take you as far as that leader wants to go, and Sid wants to win a cup.
That might have been your best ever quote.
It's true.
Yeah, it is.
Leader's only going to take you as far as he wants to go. Sid wants to win 4 more cups. And I'm telling you right now, because I know that Sid and Nate, they're both sick people. I bet I honestly bet Sid I'm sure he's happy for Nate.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, they're buddies. But, you know, I don't think so. I think he's all right.
You think you're the star right now?
You're thinking, like, I'm just telling you right now, like these ultra guys, these guys,
Competitors.
Might have been the best word you have right now. Competitors. They're sick. They're not normal.
No.
They're not normal.
You can't be that successful and be normal.
They haven't been
anything.
normal ever.
And, you know, if dudes played for Colorado and I was on Pittsburgh, or the other, actually no, I played for Pittsburgh. You played for Colorado.
Okay.
And I saw dudes just ripping it up, and he's killing it. Dudes is cutting guys, scoring, hat trick. And I played for Pittsburgh, and like we trained together in the off season.
You bet your ass.
I'm just all right, dudes. Good for you. Just give me a minute here. Yeah. And I'm diving for pucks at 36, and I'm trying to get the boys across that playoff line. Like you just, I don't know. There's something about that maritime camaraderie. Of course, you want your brother to do well, but it does something to you. I'm telling you right now, these guys are not normal, and they're sick, and they will do anything just for that half an inch. And you see it out of Sid right now. Watch the game. Did they play tonight against?
No, they played last night.
Well, tomorrow they play Boston. Just watch. It'll be one of Sid's best performances of his lifetime.
Yeah.
It is must-watch hockey tomorrow night when Boston plays Pittsburgh. Brad versus Sid. You just watch. Watch. It'll be unbelievable. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to say. Shout out to Nate, too. Nate's playing really well.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
Right.
Friend of the show.
I just think I never really thought of it like that.
Not,
but even like in their training,
wrong.
they could be like, not making bets. I'm not going to make that accusation, but just like, okay, cool. You won the Hart last year. It's like, watch, what they're chirping each other, like, cause that's what good
friends.
Yeah, that's what good competition is.
Yeah.
For Christ's sakes, Belly, you and I fought in junior A. We didn't even hate each other at the point. You know what I mean? But you're on the other team. And that's what it is. And that's how these guys are wired right from the get-go. And to say these guys aren't normal, they haven't been normal. No. Nate used to sit on the pond by himself and eat pizza and play hockey on his lunch break. Like, that's not normal shit. We think it is because we love the Stars. Yeah. Sid, 12 years old, playing, U18, scoring, tearing it up, playing junior A at 14. Like, these little things, like these kids, they've never been normal. No. And that's why they're ultra competitive, man. Like, you don't think it, like you said, yep, that's sweet. I want you to succeed, but I'm still coming for you. You know what I mean? Because that's what you get pushed by, is that the people trying to make that climb with you.
The last of a dying breed, those guys. Like, I don't like that friendly warm-up, red line.
Tummy sticks.
Maybe if it's your brothers on the other team, let's get a picture for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not mad at
for
that.
Mom. We got to do it for Mom.
But I don't know. I could never do it. Like, there was times where I was obviously play against your buddies all the time.
Yeah.
Like, in junior A. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't go up to the red line and be like, dudes, what's up?
No,
couldn't
neither.
do it. And that's the mentality that those guys have. It's like it's war.
Yeah.
And it's oh man, I'm gonna be the oldest, grumpiest guy.
You're already getting there.
I'm telling you right now.
Yelling at the clouds going by at the
I'm
wrong
gonna be
direction.
the oldest, grumpiest guy.
You see that cloud?
Yeah. If anyone hears it, it's me, you, and his fiance.
But we're okay with it.
Yeah, of course. It's part of the charm.
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly.
Anyways, must-watch TV. Sid, the kid, Nick Crosby.
Yeah, a couple history moments in the hockey too. McDavid 100 assists. Kucherov probably going to hit it as well. Matthews going for 70
tonight.
So that's pretty cool. Like I actually thought about this last night around like 1 probably during the Oilers game, because I texted you during going, are you watching this onslaught here? It was like the Oilers were playing an Adam A team.
Who they play?
San Jose. It was 9-1 halfway through the second period. I was like, this is nuts. But McDavid still hadn't gotten his apple yet, so it took a while. But I thought about this. I sat back for a second. I was like, you know what? All those records that Gretzky broke and did all those things, and my dad used to feed me that information, like, here's where I was. That didn't seem like anything big last night because it was 10-1, but to be watching the game live for that historical moment, maybe it happens again, maybe it doesn't. 100 assists in a season. He's only like the 5th person all time to do it. 4th.
Or Lemieux, Gretzky, and him.
And Gretzky did it like 12 times, but still only the 4th person in NHL history to reach the 100-point mark or 100 assist mark in the NHL in a season. I was sitting there watching it. So Number one, fortunate enough not to have to get up super early the next day so that I could watch it. So there's the first thing I'll say, and that just kind of goes with this. The second thing is, like, you just kind of take it for granted because the NHL is such a crazy thing right now. Like, even for 70 goals on my favorite team, Matthews isn't my favorite player in the league, but I obviously like to have him on the Leafs, and to be able to potentially watch that moment in history too, like 20 years down the road, we might be going, oh yeah, I was sitting stoned on my couch watching McDavid get 100 assists, right? But it was like, you just take for granted these moments. But now I just had a nice deep thought last night. I was like, this is pretty cool.
Oh man, it's true. I never thought it's like us kind of getting to watch like the Jordan era.
Yeah,
not the
Tiger Woods,
Crosby era.
That's right.
Yeah, Crosby, man.
It's still his era, baby. It's Crosby time
for sure.
But yeah, pretty cool moment, and we're gonna see some more too.
I got Jays here, fellas. I don't know anything about the Jays. Like, I don't like.
We're at an hour.
Everyone. Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what the Jays are right now?
Dog shit.
No. Come on, they got a big win on the Yankees. Barrios is awesome.
Yeah, they just,
over 500 on the year.
They're just not
start
hitting.
good.
That's all.
Tommy was telling people we were Canadian at the D-backs game, and he was trying to defend the Jays so bad. Everyone was chirping him. Yo, who said that? Everyone around him. Oh,
yeah, we don't talk about Ohtani on this podcast anymore.
Just Toronto sports as a whole is tough, right?
Oh my God, I feel like like I said, I took a layover there yesterday. I felt pressure. I wasn't even a player.
Mm-hmm. The Jays will come swinging soon.
Like, I got to get out of here.
They're also in a very tough division.
Yeah, and they're in game like 25, 162. So
they just need David Schneider and that mustache in the lineup, man. They'll be in good shape. That's all I got to say. So Schneider, I know you listen to us quite a bit. Get Schneider in there.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Don't ever underestimate a mustache.
That's it.
I don't have anything else to say about the Jays. We do. Do you guys have anything else before we move on to the last topic?
No,
I'm good.
Montreal meltdown's coming up.
Hey-o.
I can't wait to go to the Montreal meltdown. How many games, dudes?
It's like 1,100.
11. So that's over 1,000.
Yep.
Yeah. Over 1,000 games in a month and a half. So many new teams, so many new players, so many new parents, so many new streams, so many new calls, so many new content pieces, so many just Montreal meltdown, baby. That's where it happens. Some people say Montreal is the mecca of hockey. We're gonna be there. Such a great group of organizers up there, owners. Shout out to David. We can't wait to get up there, stream. We actually found out over these past couple of months there's going to be a lot of like local teams from around here up there. So
players at least.
So that's going to be great to represent them up there. We'll definitely give them a little bit more shout outs. Maybe not. You know what it is. And yeah, man, I'm excited for all this. This is going to be great. I'm really excited. Do you have anything else to say about the meltdown?
I'm excited. I'm sure the guys are. It's kind of like a mixture of two things: really hard work and almost a little reward, hopefully. Obviously we can't bank on that just yet, but no, it's gonna be fun, man. It's been a wild year, and this will just be like a nice kind of cherry on top of a good streaming hockey season, hopefully. It's gonna be sick.
Jeff?
Yeah, no, it was good. Today was the first day we were able to actually chip away at it, so I think the excitement's kind of in the air from now until the start of May.
Montreal meltdown.
The
only thing we figured out was like our lunches. That's the only thing we
figured out. The cars are going to be working.
Yeah. What are we going to get at Costco so we're fit?
Get that oil change in because we're going to be hustling.
This is kind of like the same as like, how we always refer to this as a sports team, right? Like, but for our guys to go up there and it's a team builder too, right? Like these guys have worked hard for us, and by no means did they have to, but we have a great team that believes in the product, and they want to make a name for themselves in the business. Let's be fair and call a spade, but it's a team building event. It's going to be good, man. It's a little bit of reward while still getting pumped with hours and hours and hours of hockey, overdose on hockey, as our good buddy Brendan, who will be in attendance, did say.
Shout out to Brendan.
But yeah, team builder, man. Like it's fun. It's nice to get to know the guys on a personal level and hang out and kind of see how they tick and how they move and to see the passion that they have for what we love every day and think about every day. So it's
Right.
going to be fun.
And last year we went up for a week, 4 of us. So now we were kind of offered the same thing. We said, give us a year, let us figure our shit out. We'll be there. And lo and behold, here we come. So we stick to our word here at High Button.
All right, everyone listening, thank you very much once again for tuning in. Is someone coming down the stairs?
I don't know. I don't see them yet.
Thank you very much. We're going to see you guys around. That's all I got to say.
Yep.
Enjoy your day. High Button Sports, we're out.
Drive safe.
Peace.